right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's get this John 5:39. Search the scriptures, for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another and seek not the honor that come from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's go to Daniel 11:32. We'll be wrapping this particular foray up, at least this subject topic matter, this thesis, if you will. And as such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their Alahym shall be strong and do exploit. Matter of fact, because that's what we're going to zero in on, is that first half of the verse. I'm going to keep going to verse 33. They that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yeah, they shall fall by the sword and by flame and by captivity and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it's yet for a time appointed. Now he just stacked back and stated how people who do wickedly against the covenant would corrupt with some false promises. Let's take a look at something. I want you to come to Deuteronomy 13. Deuteronomy 13. Deuteronomy 13 and 13. Make that 13 and 12. Deuteronomy 13 and 12. Now it tells me that it's all clear on the Dames Point Bridge for you. It's all clear. It said all the southbound lanes were closed. Y'all went over the Dames Point Bridge? Did you see any lanes closed? So you can see right there. Hold on. All clear. Traffic update. All southbound lanes on the Dane Point Bridge have reopened. They might have been late. See right there, an hour ago. Bound lanes on the Danes Point Bridge closed. You finished or you done? Have you completed your sorrows? Clearly, they have not finished their sorrows. That was extreme. She said she's not gonna go. She already knows she's not gonna go. So yeah, my mom used to tell me, yeah, you can leave. One day I took up on that offer too. Walked right on out the door. So did. And they say, where you going? You told me to depart. I was ready to go. So I left. Yeah, that didn't go as planned. I can tell you that. Sure, they'd have put you in jail for it then. Nigga, one number 1993. Oh no. Shoot, nigga, they locked plenty of niggas up for child neglect in the 90s. Shoot, that they favorite. It's two things they used to always lock people up: child neglect and writing bad checks. You don't hear about nobody going to jail for writing bad checks no more, because don't nobody write checks. They scam, but they ain't writing checks. Back then, it wasn't no scam. You know you done went to the grocery store. You know you only got $80 in your account. You done spent $230 in that grocery store. You writing that check. You know you're going to get up out of there before the check bounce, like it ain't like it is now. Ain't no funds. It took a couple days. You've been slid. They done hit you for uttering the forged instrument. Lock you up for bouncing them bad checks. Yeah, they don't do that too tough no more. Different days and times. Deuteronomy 13 and 12. If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which Yahuwah your Alahym have given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go serve other gods which you have not known. How does that relate to what's in Daniel chapter 11? Would you be able to say that these men of children of Belial, you do know what Belial means, right? You know what Belial means? Yeah, old worthless nigga, you ain't about nothing. That's why Paul wrote you and said, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. What agreement has a Mashiach with Belial? Now let's look at that while you ponder upon this question that I'm about to ask. Mordecai, you're not real. Those aren't real tears. 2 Corinthians 6 and 14, while holding Deuteronomy 13. Well, actually, we through with Deuteronomy 13. We have no more need for it. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. It says, be you not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion have light with darkness? And what concord have a Mashiach with Belial? Or what part have he that believed with an infidel? So in regards to what's in Daniel 11, what is the stark difference between someone who is of a Mashiach or one who's of Belial? What would be the comparison looking at what's in Daniel 11 and verse 32, or where we began at? What would be the contrast between these two parallels? Stop playing up under that table and sit up. You want to sit over there to play under that table. It has to be in relation to the verse which you started with. Yeah, but they go do exploits. No, that's not it. That's not it. Exploits ain't nothing but works. So you're looking at if you see somebody doing works, that means they would have to be a Mashiach. So consequently, what is the contrast? If one is of Mashiach, consequently, then they know they Alahym and they're strong and they do work. So what's the contrast to that in the very verse with someone who's of Belial? That's it. I mean, that's that simple. It's not that stark of a contrast. One follows the covenant, one doesn't. What do you see going on in Deuteronomy 13? He trying to entice people to go against the covenant by worshiping other gods. Is that not what he's doing? What would he say the sons of Belial are doing? See, and it's coming down to one thing what I mentioned, man. We talked about a little bit on Monday, and I heard a dude, dudes be making their videos about all type of things on the internet. That's one of the reasons why YouTube came up with that 1,000 subscriber restriction on going to be able to go live on your phone, because it could stop certain people who don't, like, they want to clean up certain stuff off of the internet, period. You know what I'm saying? Whether we want to believe. How many of y'all familiar with a little document? It's called the NDAA. How many of you are familiar with that document? None of y'all are familiar with that document? What is that document then? Non-disclosure? No, NDAA, not an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. You got an extra A on there. That's called the National Defense Authorization Act. Every president signs a couple of them from time to time. I think it was during Obama's administration that they put in the NDAA that it was illegal for all United States news outlets to broadcast propaganda. They had already been broadcasting propaganda, but now they can legally broadcast propaganda without retribution of legal means. Now, I mentioned to y'all all that before. How many of y'all are familiar with the propaganda films of World War II? How many of y'all ever seen those or heard of those? Clearly, they didn't teach that to y'all in school, because they definitely showed it to us. Yeah, they definitely showed us to us in many, many fashions. But not just in Germany, but over here too. When you would go to the movies, they would run a short film of propaganda. You know what I'm saying? To get America. See, during World War II, America didn't enter in the war. There wasn't support over here for America to enter into that war. They didn't want anything to do with it. World War I had just ended probably 30 years. I can't even say 30 years, about 25 years previously. They didn't want to do with it. That's why they staged Pearl Harbor to get them into that particular worldwide altercation. Because you can do your research on it. This is before quote unquote conspiracy theories were cool. And it's not necessarily, some things are conspiracy theories, some things are analyzing information that's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? And just looking at what the facts tell you. Like the facts tell you that the United States Navy knew that the Japanese Air Force was coming the day of Pearl Harbor. They knew they was coming and they let them do it. You know what I'm saying? If you do your research, you'll see there was a ship that was blown up right before World War II, and that was their excuse to start it. That's where the term false flag comes from. This is historical fact. This ain't no YouTube video. This is historical fact. Like, this is known. This is what they did. You know what I'm saying? They needed an excuse to start that war. You know what I'm saying? They started that war for a multitude of reasons. One of them was to get them white folks that's in our land right now to dwell there. Because that's how they got there. Palestine was under British control during that time. You know what I'm saying? Britain actually was on the other side of that battle because Germany and Italy were the ones who actually had control of all that area during World War II. So they make a big deal about Haile Selassie, but when Mussolini came through, Haile Selassie hit it and left Ethiopia and left his people and left his land. See, they don't tell you that. They don't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they was quick to show you, say, oh, Nipsey Hussle was related to that dude. He come through that line. Well, shoot, that's a line of cowards then, because when it got hot, that nigga slid. What, that Haile Selassie fled? Yeah, he fled. During World War II, when Benito Mussolini was sliding through and conquering everything in Africa, he slid. Got on up out of there, went into exile, and then when the war was over, he came back. As if nothing happened, and everybody turned their head at the fact that your emperor left you to be slaughtered. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. But they took it over. Once the war was over, they ceded that land to them white folks, and then made May 25th, 1948 be like that was a fulfilling of Ezekiel 37 and 38 and 39. That's what they did. And that was all propaganda. You know what I'm saying? For you to have an emotional reaction in relation to these people so that you would agree and go along with them being there, and then consequently the massive amounts of aid that the United States government has been sending them for decades. Who said that? Used to be old white people. Used to be and it's a true story. Propaganda is dead serious. They used propaganda during Vietnam. You know what I'm saying? So don't think that they don't use. I finally found out who owns TMZ, and now I know why they get everything first. Disney don't own TMZ. Time Warner owns TMZ. Times Warner has been established. Hey, man. Times Warner has been established to be operated by the Central Intelligence Agency. That is a fact. That's not nobody's opinion. That is a fact. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense. It's propaganda arms just to be able to dictate the way that you think. That way, when you come up with stuff, you think you come up with that on your own. If you notice, I'd probably say in the last 20 years, it's been a lot more propaganda as far as relating to things of a spiritual nature of what they promote. Usually with people who are famous. They'll try to pick that archetype with them. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily with politicians, because don't nobody look at a politician like that. Like, you wasn't going to get that type of story when George H.W. Bush died. Nobody cared. Nobody viewed him in that fashion. You know what I'm saying? You have to pay attention to that type of stuff, because if it comes through certain media outlets, it's propaganda. I'm mentioning that because that's what Satan does. He uses propaganda. So when you see this Deuteronomy where this person is saying, hey, let us serve other gods, there has to be propaganda imparted to get you to do that. If I'm using propaganda, what would be the number one thing that I would be trying to attack you with if I'm using propaganda? Your emotions. Do you know what I'm saying? The only way that I can get you to go to a particular viewpoint is if I can manipulate your emotions. Now let's look at something in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 29. Let the prophet speak 2 or 3, let the other judge. If anything be revealed to another that sit by, let the first hold a shalom. For you all may prophesy one by one, that you all may learn and may become prophets or subject to the prophets. For Alahym is not the author of confusion, but of shalom, as in all the synagogues of the Kased. Now, let me ask you this question here when it comes to this here. When you hear the word confusion, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, sir? And when you hear the word confusion, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Babylon. What about you? No understanding? What about you? False information? What about you, Caleb? What about you, Lisa? You just saying that because that's what you believe, or that's because what you think everybody else saying, and you can just slide away with that. I don't believe that came to your mind. I would take you as a liar. What about you? What about you? What about you, Lee? What about you, Lisa? All right, Monte in here. What about you? Chaos as well. What about you, D? What about you, sir? Now, when you look at chaos and that where there as forth as the word is regards, what does that relate to? Some of you should know. Hey, little baby. Mm-hmm. Lawlessness. What else does it relate to? Destruction. And there's 2 other things that I'm thinking of that it relates to. Distortion, breaking rules. No. That's what Atish mentioned. And Kira said breaking rules. Yeah, that would be shalom. That would be to destroy the authority attached to chaos, which would be the mean, because none of the meanings of mean is chaos, which would take you to that lawlessness. That's what he said. So if he's not the author of confusion or the author of chaos, chaos is usually rooted in emotion. What do y'all know? Do y'all know the little term that's on the back of the dollar bill? Huh? I got one in my pocket. Huh? Hold on. Let me see. No, not that one. It's another. The Novus Order Seclorum. That means order out of chaos. That's what that means. Order out of chaos. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at what the beast's going to be coming to do, and you look at what Satan tried to do, and you look at what they do in this world now. Now, I know y'all heard of the thing, I forget what it's called, theory, but it's problem, reaction, solution. They create a problem to get a reaction and then give you a solution to the problem that they created in the first place. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm telling you, like 99.9999% of everything that come out of television is more than likely is propaganda for problems that they're creating to get an emotional reaction from the people who are watching it. Then when I get you I can move you emotionally in the fashion that I want to move you in, then I can give you the solution, or you're begged for the solution to the emotional reaction from a problem that I created to begin with. This is where it come in about knowing your Alahym, and that's where discernment come in at, and not being emotionally moved by any and everything that you see and what happens to you. Doesn't mean that you don't have a feeling, just means you're not moved by it. See, a lot of people have feelings and then you move by how you feel. You feel like you got a good handle on your emotions, and if not, why so? Why do you feel like you got a good handle on your emotions? Now, again, I'm not referring that you have emotions and that you feel them. I'm talking about that you have emotions and you react off them and make decisions off them on a consistent basis. That's what I'm referring to when you don't have good control of your emotions. Yeah, I still say yes. Okay, I try to think. Certain things. Mike, you feel like you got good control over your emotions? Why so?
mean, because I was learning how to. But right now, the question of.
Now, I ain't even getting into no word yet with it. I'm just talking about general, because you could not be in the word and have control of your emotions.
I mean, nah, because I'm going to feel some type of way, but I might not show it, but I'm still going to feel it. But not really. Sometimes it depends on the situation.
What about you, Stanley? What's up? What about you, Callie? You feel like you got good handle of your emotions? Why you feel like you got good handle of your emotions? Oh, you do know. If you don't know why you got good control over your emotions, that's it. Tell me that then. Don't tell me you don't know, because then I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna believe you if you tell me you do. Okay, just tell me that. See, I ain't just talking about being angry. You know, y'all got a gamut of more emotions than getting angry and slapping somebody. You be ready to walk around and slap people in Winn-Dixie. That's what you be doing. You done married a full-fledged. That woman assaulting people in the grocery store. You should be jumping little girls in school. That's what your husband just said. Happened once. Times how many times after that? Because he said that like that was plural. That's what he must like. He said he like them a little rough around the edges. Is that what you like? Oh, you yelling at people, Trey? You were barking like a dog.
So they said she looked like a fool.
Hey, that ain't that long ago. You were barking like a dog. Expound.
My friend is right, and he likes so every time we walk past her, like we'll fart.
Oh, you were barking. Oh, you were trying to be funny. You look at that girl ain't stabbed. You were bullying. You was a mean girl. That's what you were doing. Oh. Clearly not. Walk around barking at people's church. Shoot, that girl could have committed suicide messing with you. Dang, Kyla, I didn't know you were that type of person. I'm appalled. What about you, Lisa? You got good control of your emotions. Don't you lie to me. That's why all I said. Just don't you lie to me, and you did, and I appreciate that. Why you feel like you don't got as good control over your emotions as you would like to? It's never on the situation, because you can control yourself no matter what the situation is. Situational is no excuse for not having regulation over your emotions. It's understood. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted now. It's understood if you get in certain situations and you know that you don't have the wherewithal in that particular situation to hold your emotions, but it's no excuse. You see what I'm saying? Then you would need to find a better way to govern your emotions so you could express yourself that you wouldn't fly off the handle. So there's no excuse. That just means you don't have listen to me, that just would mean that you wouldn't have the emotional restraint and intelligence not to have a conversation without reacting emotionally because you're not getting the feedback that you desire. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, it's understood. That's just no excuse. You know what I'm saying? I can understand if you like, I know you gonna react this particular way from previous dealings, or you're acting a particular way while we're having conversation, and I would rather not say anything in order to explode. But that would mean you would have to dig deeper to find the emotional restraint and wherewithal to still be able to navigate a conversation with someone who's clearly being a douche in the midst of that conversation without responding emotionally because of it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. In some situations, somebody could do something and you're going to be 38 high. You know what I'm saying? But that's no excuse for reacting emotionally, even though the emotional reaction or the emotional trigger is understood. You feel what I'm saying? Like the emotional trigger is understood, but it's no excuse just because they made me mad. So mature then, grow up then, nigga. Because again, right, when we talk about being emotional, ain't nobody ever walked up to none of y'all and slapped you in your face and then spit in your face after that. Because that's what they did to the Lord. And that's a man's man. So imagine how he would feel as a man with somebody spitting in his face and mocking him and slapping him in the face. What would your emotional reaction be if someone slapped you in the face? That's my point. But see, that's my point. See, it ain't just and it ain't because somebody slapped you. It would be what you feel like is across the line of disrespect. So you don't really have control of your emotions like you think you do. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you only having control over your emotions in situations that you feel like you can govern. But you know full well in certain situations, certain people do something, you might not be able to take that. Some of y'all can't take somebody talking bad about you. You couldn't even take that. If somebody say, yeah, you know they around there doing this and doing that, if you saw them, you might explode. You wouldn't have the emotional intelligence, but I don't care what that nigga say. What does that nigga say in perspective of me got to do with me? And I'm mentioning that here because this again is example. Hold on. Kira says she feels she does. She's not as reactionary as she used to be. And a case in point, we looking at Yahusha, right? How many of y'all ever had somebody call you the devil to your face? Because you were doing what the words say. Looked you in your face and called you the devil. That happened to you?
No, I mean, people call me the devil, but not because I'm doing words.
Oh, no, I don't care if you're doing devil work. Shoot, that's what you were doing. Let me show you why I say what I say. Come over here to Mark chapter 3. Because this is a part about being strong. See, if you're strong and you know your Alahym, then this also going to take us into another point in people.
Because somebody could slap me, they don't mean I'm slapping them back because I'm mad.
Well, what would you be slapping them back for?
Just on TV.
So if it's on general principles because you've been disrespected and you mad.
No, you gotta defend yourself at some point. That's like if somebody if you anticipated it, sometimes you have to fight for defense. You just can't stand there and let nobody hit you. They might hit you, and it could be a sucker punch, and you in the hospital and in there. You know, but if you fall back and you defended yourself, you could get out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Nevertheless, niggas just slapped the fire. You said on GP. Well, we all know general principle being the principle of the matter. If you offended me as a man, and I'm appalled and I'm mad about that. Yeah, but if you disrespect it, what is the common reaction to disrespect? Disdain and anger, the same thing. You're nothing but a synonym.
Yeah, she just said like somebody broke your house. You have to shoot.
Some niggas get slapped and don't respond on reflex. They pause because they shocked that this nigga even slapped them. You know what I'm saying? Because I've slapped a nigga before, and that nigga definitely paused before he threw his set up. Because sometimes it's the shock. No, I'm saying sometimes it's the shock. You don't expect someone to slap you. No, as a man, you might expect a nigga to punch you in your face. You ain't expecting a nigga to cock back and slap you. Oh no, a hit is not a slap is not a hit. I'd rather you punch me than slap me. Because the reason being, if you punch me, you might have respect for me. If you slap me, you just told me you have no respect for me. No respect for me as a man. What? What type of man you been around? An open hand slap is bad. The backhand slap is even worse because now I see you as a hoe. It's two things that we were raised with that a man should never do. And that's slap a man and that's spit in his face because you told me that you do not respect me as a man. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why that's the reaction. Nigga, you got people get punched and they be like, you know what? This nigga here tripping. And I could break his neck. But I'm gonna let you slide unless he do something. But the slap, all that junk go out the window. You just told me I'm a whole hoe out here. And if you feel, how many of y'all ever been disrespected and there was not a level of angst, anger, disdain? You were perturbed in any shape, form, or fashion. How many people get disrespected? You're like, you know what? I feel good about myself, and I'm gonna go about my day.
I did that.
All right, look at you. I'm proud of you. I wouldn't expect that from you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about reacting that way. I'm talking about feeling that way. Being angry because you've been disrespected. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one for disrespect, so I'm just gonna slide on out your way. Yeah, I'm not one for disrespect.
Even these days, like
I'm not one for that.
somebody might say something about my clothes, whatever, but I know, like, but I got more power than the woman than the person that says.
I don't care, but I'm not gonna take you saying nothing about my clothes is
I mean,
disrespect.
they can say anything, but it's just like you just said, like, who is that person?
I'm talking about disrespect principle as like disrespect. Because I don't disrespect people, so don't disrespect me. I will alert you and let you know that I took that as disrespect. I do not appreciate that. Do not do that again because I don't disrespect you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, don't disrespect me. See, I'm not gonna walk off me like, no, don't disrespect. I don't care who you are. It could be the president of the United States of America. Do not disrespect me because I don't disrespect you. And it's not because you're the president, it's because you're a man. Give me the same due respect that you want as a man. That's all I ask. You know what I'm saying? Now we dealing with the Lord took a lot of disrespect and did not respond emotionally.
And I feel like, you know why he didn't know? Because he knew, like, that, like he said, he could call them Alahyms and they'll swallow the earth.
That ain't had nothing to do with it because he could have killed them himself.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's not why he held back. See, the first thing you look at held back is you thought he held back because he got the power to smash him. That's not why he held back. And we done went over this before. Let me ask you this here. What does the book say about being angry? Rest in the bosom of fools. So if you can be easily angered, then you are a fool. This is what the book say. I mean, in your chest, in your heart, you are a fool because anger only rests with fools. What does the word say about Alahym and him being angry? He's slow to anger. So what does that show you? That is emotional restraint. You know what I'm saying? This is why you see Hamashiach being slow to anger. That's why you don't see him getting angry because they're of the Ruach, and the Ruach is not emotional. See, where the Ruach of Alahym is, there's freedom, and that's freedom from the flesh. So you don't react emotionally. Like even when I was telling y'all what we were getting in with that white dude, I didn't yell at him. I ain't disrespect him, but I let him know, like, I don't tolerate your disrespect. I don't care nothing about that, what you talking about. You know what I'm saying? If you threaten me with physical violence, I'm trying to be at peace with you, but I will damage you out here. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, but he's coming in a threatening manner to physically threaten us. Like he's just not running his mouth. You can make your mouth fry fish. You can say whatever you want to out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? He's coming threatening physically on top of running his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like when he disrespected me, called me a boy, let me go to your face so you can know, do not disrespect me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man, you a man, respect me as one. I ain't disrespected you. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. You can tell someone not to disrespect you and not even be violent or aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Do not disrespect me because I don't disrespect you. I'm a man of respect. You're a man of respect. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you're a man of respect. So carry and conduct yourself as such. I can remember working at KFC. Dude came through the drive-through cussing, going off. I said, hold up, buddy. I ain't do it to you. So you don't need to be coming through here talking like this here to me. You need to watch your mouth. He came to the window. He said, man, I'm sorry, man. I'm just having a bad. I get it. I understand. But you can't do that. Because everybody might not be as understanding as me. I'm only 19. Now imagine what the average 19-year-old would have did to you. Spit in your food, kicked it around the thing, might have punched you through the window when you came up. Because you feel like you could talk to somebody any kind of way because you having a bad day because you can't control your emotions. You know, one of the most fragile things in the world is the male ego. And that's rooted from your emotions, how you feel about yourself. That's why a lot of niggas get shot. A lot of niggas get shot off a nigga ego. His pride hurt. His emotions is hurt. His feelings hurt. Now he got to show everybody he ain't no punk. And now somebody going to prison for the rest of their life and somebody in the grave because you didn't have emotional control. A lot of women done lost men they dealt with because they didn't have emotional control. Because you exploded. Issue might not even been that big. Now you done exploded because you couldn't control your emotions. Or you react in the wrong fashion to something that's not even that serious. You know what I'm saying? Huh? What's that? I ain't going to prison for killing nobody. Yeah, but I mean, a woman killing a man doesn't happen as often. It happens, but it's not a regular occurrence.
They could have lied all over the past years and showed you only the ones that should.
I can certainly say that we know them white folks play with stuff like that because Channel 4 got caught like 12 years ago playing with the homicide numbers in the city to make it seem like it was worse than what it really was. They do stuff like that. They do stuff like that. That's what I'm telling you. It's all propaganda. They do stuff like that. Who gonna go downtown and check how many people actually got killed? I'm talking about regular people. You gonna get off of work and go down to the memorial building and get the homicide statistics? Shoot, man. Mark chapter 3, verse 22. He said, and the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of devils cast he out devils. And he said unto them, and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Hashatan cast out Hashatan? That ain't what I want. I want Mark chapter 10. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. Mark chapter 10, verse 22. That's what I want. No, because I'm mentioning all this here just for the fact of when this stuff get real, you got to have the word in you not in order to lose your salvation. Who can y'all think of like, I ain't gonna ask you that question in that regard, because you're probably not gonna pinpoint the person that's in my head off the top. When we look at the story of Abigail and David, what was David's fault? What was he about to get himself in trouble for? How was he gonna kill Nabal? Because he disrespected him and he reacted emotionally and say, we're gonna kill everything that pisses against the wall. His natural emotion, he reacted emotionally. When Abigail came and told him, oh, don't do that, that's a small thing to you, he said, praise Yah for you, because you don't stop me from acting vengeance and taking that upon myself. Because in that instance, he didn't regulate himself by the word. He regulated himself by his emotion, and his emotion was, I'm finna kill everybody over here. That was an emotional response to disrespect. Because what did David do for Nabal? Y'all know what he did for him? For him. He did something for Nabal. It was unbeknownst to Nabal, but he did it for him nonetheless. No, he did something for Nabal. No, that ain't what he's trying to buy. That's I forget the dude's name, but it's not Nabal. Come on let me read this Matthew 10 and 22, and then we'll come to 1 Samuel chapter 25. He said, you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endured to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in this city, flee you into another. For truly I say unto you, you shall not have gone over the cities of Yasharal till the Son of Man be come. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they call the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Now ask yourself, how many of y'all right now, how would you feel if somebody looked you in the face and called you a devil based off of you was doing what the word told you to do, or you were saying something that pertained to the word and righteousness? Like, how would that make you feel if somebody told you that?
Like right now with the whole no,
I'm not talking. That's not what I asked you. That's not. Glover. Pause. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about how would you feel if you was doing something that was of Yahuwah and people started calling you a devil? I said you, not anybody else. I'm talking about you.
I'm just going off the back of if you know they devils, you know they gonna, you know what I'm saying?
It sounds good till you doing something and somebody call you one and that take you for a back that somebody would do you like that. Some people will literally be thrown by doing. That's why he's telling them that right there. If they call me, the head of the household, Beelzebub, what you think they're gonna say to you? Why do you think he said, I told you these things that you might not be offended? That's why he tell you this stuff ahead of time. I feel you on that.
So what I'm saying, just exactly what he said.
I mean, I can't tell you how Stanley gonna feel. I can't say how Monica will feel or Callie will feel if somebody say that. Only they can tell me that. I can't speak that for them. Yeah, I can't do that. Absolutely, everybody gonna have a different reaction. Some people might feel sad. Some people may feel indifferent. Some people might get angry. Me myself, I would be indifferent. I know you don't know no better. Some people might have compassion and be like, you know what? Bless your heart. Y'all be with you. You don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? You gotta realize people don't, everybody's reaction is different. Everybody is not at the same level of spiritual maturity as somebody else is. You know what I'm saying? You would hope to sit back and look at it that you would either be indifferent, like he said, sad, which would mean I'm gonna have some compassion towards you. And that's about it. But shoot, that don't mean nothing, man. That's a hard pill to swallow. You doing what's right and somebody look you in the face and say you are the devil. While the nigga over here doing the works of the devil and they say he are the Lord. Nevertheless, come over here. That's 1 Samuel 25. 25. Let's look at what David had going on here, man. First Samuel 25. We pick it up at verse 2. There was a man in Mahon whose possessions were in Carmel. The man was very great. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal. The name of his wife, Abigail. She was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil of his doing, and he was of the house of Caleb. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. David sent out 10 young men. David said unto the young men, go you up to Carmel and go to Nabal and greet him in my name. What does that point you to later on down the line when he sent these men out to greet somebody in his name? Not only that, but what everything we're supposed to do it in whose name? You know, have you ever heard people say, well, where does it say you're supposed to pray in his name and all that type of stuff? And there's an example of it. There's also other examples of it. When the king sent the people out, they sent them out in whose name? They name. You saying you speaking on my behalf, ambassadors, if you will, witnesses, if you will. And thus you shall say to him that live in prosperity, shalom be both to you, shalom be to your house, shalom be to all that you have. And now I have heard that you have shearers. Now your shepherds which were with us, we heard them not, neither were they all missing unto them all the while you were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will show you. Wherefore let the young men find favor in your eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray you, whatsoever come to your hand unto your servants and unto your son David. And when David's young men came and spake to Nabal according to all the words in the name of David and ceased, Nabal answered David's servant and said, who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. And he got spotted with it at the end. See, a lot of slave niggas run away. I free. So you see that he said, I caught your people out there with the sheep. I ain't do nothing to them. I ain't take none of your sheep. I preserved them. I protected them. Show us a little love, because we've been coming through, you know, a little water, little bread, a little animal flesh. That nigga say, who is David? Now, what do y'all take from his statement when he said, who is David and who is Jesse? Who is this son of Jesse? What scripture wise, what you think that could mean? Who is David? Who is this son of Jesse? Why do you think here it would mention who his daddy is? He didn't say nothing about who his daddy was on this here. But yet his servants went out and clearly must have told him who his daddy was in order for him to make that statement. So why is that relevant? And this one here, right? And we're going to get to it, right? So clearly you done mentioned that Jesse is his father, meaning Yahuwah is his father, and David is the son of, or Yahusha is the son of Alahym. And they were like, we don't know no Yahuwah. And we don't know no son of Alahym. So you niggas need to get from around here. Basically rejecting the gospel, if you will. Now that's going to tie in to stuff we're going to look at a little bit later. But you know now, we know what David responded. How did David respond? Let's see how David responded. Verse 12. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the verse we read all the time. I came in my father's name and you received me not. Say, I'm David, son of Jesse. Say, if another would have came in his own name, you would have received him. And why wouldn't, and according to what we just read in this text, why did Nabal not receive it? How did the word just describe Nabal? Say, churlish. What was the other thing? And evil in his doings. So why would a stubborn, evil man receive good tidings? That man just told him, look at what he just told you he did. Ask the young men. Matter of fact, he said, we seen your shepherds were with us. We didn't hurt them. Ain't nobody missing. We kept everything. We saved everything. Come on and roll with me. Hit me off. They say, oh, no, nigga. Who is you? Say, everybody's service break free nowadays. That's a harsh dude. Dang, little Mike, they still got you in the car. You want to come over here? Well, come on. Look at how he responded. Verse 12. Well, make it 11. Sit on down, man. What you got there? Cookies? You like cookies? All right. Shall I then, listen to what he say, he get worse. He say, shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shears and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? What did Hamashiach say to them scribes? Hold on, let's look at what they said about them. The scribes said about him. Come over here to John chapter 9. John 9, 27. You good? You good. He answered him, I've told you already, and you did not hear. Wherefore would you hear it again? Will you be his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, you are his disciple. We are Moses' disciple. We know that Alahym spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is. That's what he just said about David, right? This is the king. Now, check it, right? Come back to Samuel. Is David not the king over the whole land? And he said, I don't know who he is. That's sad right there. No, did that bother you? That statement. You looked like you was appalled. You shocked they didn't know who he was? Nevertheless, look at verse 13 or verse 12. So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told all these things, told him all those things. David said unto his young men, gird you every man his sword. They girded on every man his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 men abode by the stuff. Now, hold on. Look at verse 17. How it that nigga hold his chest like he just got shot. He said, now therefore know and consider what you will do. For evil is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a man, son of Belial, that a man cannot speak to him. So what does that mean when they say he's such a son of Belial that a man can't talk to him? No, I'm talking about trying to be a little bit more specific. What does that mean? Huh? His hard hardened, and what else it also would refer to that he would be? That too, but it's something more specific. That he's stubborn, obstinate, if you will. Remember, which all the things y'all said is correct, but I was looking for that because remember that's what he said about, or what he would say about us in the law. He's stiff-necked. He's stiff-necked. What it was I had in my head? Oh, Proverbs 29. Proverbs 29. And 1. He said, he being often reproved, hardened his neck, and shall suddenly be destroyed and without remedy. Is any of y'all aware of how Nabal died? How did he die? You sure about that? Yeah, but I'm talking about how did he die? The word tell you how he died. How did he die? Does anybody in here know how Nabal died? Lil Mike, you remember how Nabal died? He said, I'm a kid. That's what he said for real. He said, I'm a kid. Your mama knows?
I just remember like he got drunk.
Well, let's look.
His vows for
Let's look at it, man. 1 Samuel chapter 25. Look, Mike said, I'm a kid. No, that's Absalom. 25 and 36. You finna look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Nigga had a heart attack. Nigga had a heart attack. When they told him what was gonna happen to him, he had a heart attack. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like a feast of a king. Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light. So she waited till he sobered up. But it came to pass the morning when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. That nigga had a heart attack. Heard that word and fell out and died. Say, boy, that, the worst part was he ain't even kill him. She just told him what he was gonna do. But also it go to show you in this regard, boy, it don't be good to be old hard-headed nigga who can't nobody tell you nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because you might end up like Nabal. Now, Nabal was the son of Belial. What did we read in Deuteronomy 13 the sons of Belial wanted to do? Tell you to come out here and serve other gods, right? Now, let's look at another thing a son of Belial tell you to do. 1 Samuel 13, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like part of that was
1 Samuel 10, actually.
part of that. He was a great man, very great.
Yeah. And you still gonna hit the grave, and you still going to hell. And I go what we read in Psalms 49. You can have all them riches, and by no means will it ransom your soul.
He was very great.
Evil nigga. But he was a son of Belial. And that's also another point look here, right? I don't care how any nigga feel about any nigga who famous, they're a son of Belial. And propaganda owns. Because if you think these white folks finna sit here and hand you millions of dollars and you can move independently and free and say and do what you want to, that's just foolish. Them people give you that money for control. Ain't nobody handing nobody no $40 million and I don't control and dictate what you're doing. I just was listening to dude talking about that Kaepernick situation. I'm like, yeah, they played everybody with that. Dude was like, I don't believe, these is regular propaganda. People say, I don't believe Nike get that nigga $40 million a year. That nigga said, for what? And he ain't told no lie. How many of you niggas seen somebody in the street with a Kaepernick t-shirt on? That comes from Nike. How many people you seen in the street with one? How many people you seen with his shoes on? That wasn't famous. That didn't take a picture on Instagram when all that stuff went down, when he been with Nike the whole time, and that ad came out like he had just signed. He been with Nike the whole time. Anybody who knew anything about sports knew he been with Nike the whole time. Come on, they just was sitting there with him till they figured out how to use him. Rolled out a whole clothing line. You ain't seen nobody with it on. Not in person. I ain't seen nobody with it on. But his point was that they were trying to make him seem more popular amongst black people than he actually is. And that the only people who really talk about him and praise him is people on TV, not people in real life. I say he has a point. He does have a point. Y'all had a lot of people talk about Kaepernick if it wasn't a story with him on the news. How did y'all feel when you heard he settled for less than $10 million? Did you care? Was you concerned? You were like, dang, why did he settle? Only reason I knew he settled because I got the ESPN app on my phone, so I get a notification. I think they were releasing the amount because the public relations type of thing for something else. Because they had done leaked that he's supposed to have done he wouldn't play in that league that just folded for no more than he was only gonna play for 20 million. So they were saying they were trying to paint the picture he was greedy for money. And then you settle for 10 million, but your homeboy who were rolling with you, he been got a job. Now these white folks' point was that nigga should just take a $2 million contract and get back on the field and work his way back up. They said he don't want that. He see it, and it all could be a whole bunch of game. But this much I do know, I ain't seen a nigga walk around with nothing Kaepernick on. Period. Not at all. Nowhere. No one, ever. I don't even know if it's in the store. Which being in the store don't really mean that no more. So that's neither here nor there. 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 24. What you doing? 1 Samuel 10 and 24. And Samuel said to all the people, see ye whom you have chosen? There's none like him among all the people. And all the people shouted and said, Alahym, save the king. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom and wrote it in a book, laid it up before Yahuwah. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there were with him a band of men whose hearts Alahym had touched. But the children of Belial said, how shall this man save us? And they despised him and brought him no presents, but he held his shalom. Now, how can we look at these men of Belial and relate that to the things of the end? Clearly, we've seen two things that we done looked at with these men of Belial. We've seen one want you to go after another god, and another one said the man who Yah put in place to be king, they despised him and said, how can this man save us? Because it's relating the difference from those who do wickedly against the covenant. Now, if you know the covenant, what does Deuteronomy say about the king? That the people should have a king, right? And that they should be of our own people. What does the law say about those who rule over our people? What should you not do? What does the law say you should not do to the ruler of your people? No, don't say vex. Do what? No, that's not what it says. It says that the law states, son, because Paul is an example of that law being executed. David as well. You know what I'm saying? He gave instruction that the people should not do a certain thing to the rulers of the people. Let's look at it. Exodus 22. Shalom, man. It's good to see you, man. Lamite, are you a kid? 22 and 28. You home? You're a big boy? You're a young man. You're not a young man? You're just a big boy. When will you be a young man? You don't know? Very well. It says, thou shalt not revile the gods nor curse the ruler of your people. Now, I seen a brother talking about this here the other day. He was like, how could, and he a brew, but he coming from a Christian perspective. And he was like, how could you have a leader and then bad talk that person and then go somewhere else? He was like, I wouldn't trust you. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I wouldn't trust you. And I understand his viewpoint and perspective, what he's talking about, how people can sit back and say this the person you was following or were leading, and then you have all these negative things to say about them. People look back, and the point of that is regardless of how you feel about them, if you know the law, you're not going to do that. Because did David do that with Saul? Now, what was Saul trying to do to David? Don't get that's about the worst thing you can do to somebody is kill him. David had chances to kill him. He didn't kill him. He never spoke bad about him. And when somebody came talking bad about him, what did he do? He killed him. You know what I'm saying? He killed him. But that's just the separation of where we'll scream law and we scream we know this and we scream we know that. But then when it's time to apply certain things, you don't do it. Because you won't read nobody in this text talking bad about no kings unless they were trying to remove them. They wouldn't keep that stuff to themselves and let y'all deal with it. See, we don't have that type of mind frame because you feel like I can speak my mind and this, that, there, and the third. That's not how Torah operates. That's not how Alahym operates. He don't operate that way. The book even tell you that if you had a problem with an elder, you're supposed to step to him like you would talk to your daddy. But people don't have that mind frame because you've been taught to think a particular way. I can express myself. I can say what I want. I tell you like this here, you wouldn't step to Yahusha like that if he did something you didn't like or he said something you didn't like. You're going to sit your monkey behind down right there and you're going to take it. And you know that's what you're going to do. And you can talk to your mouth fry fish, but that's what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Am I lying though? You ain't see nobody coming to him with no nonsense trying him like that. They tried to question him. The only time they started talking greasy to the Lord, when did they start talking greasy to him? Once they got him, then they felt they were comfortable enough to go on and talk like that. They wasn't talking like that when he was walking around unrestrained. Once they got them bounds on him, like they say, you just, all that. That's what they were doing. But let's come back over here, right? Let's look at this beast. The 13th chapter of Revelation. Beast. And they worshiped the serpent, which had power, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him. Now, we didn't talk about, now this is the beast, right? Everybody's worshiping the beast because he done been resurrected from the dead. So when you go to talking about Yahusha, and you go to saying that he the one gonna save us, men of Belial are gonna do what? They gonna despise him because they evil and churlish in his doing. Again, remember, right? This goes along with the statement, I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you gonna receive. Doctrine of using the true names when the people he was talking to at the time already knew his name. So that doesn't make sense. Context of the conversation that's going on. But when you see the beast coming, is the beast coming to preach on his own, or somebody already? We discussed this a little bit that he coming in the beast's name. That's why this thing got two horns like a lamb, but he's speaking like a serpent. Because if the beast got the ability to understand dark sentences, you don't think the false prophet do? And if he got an understanding of the word and you don't, then you're going to react to. Let's put it this way.
But look, the false prophet is going to just be a regular man with an evil spirit, right?
Shoot, the beast a regular man with an evil spirit. They both regular men. They have to be. We went over this a couple years ago, right? Now he just the same. He just got to elevate it. It's no different than the mimic. It's basically like this here, right? And we went over this 2 years ago, but we got to refresh. And I'm glad you said that, just for refresh, because others might have forgotten. Let's go back, right? And let's go look at Matthew chapter 3 and look at the parallel and look at what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because the beast is mimicking who? He mimicking Yah. That's what he's trying to do. Oh, no, not an elevated position with who? Yeah, what? Scott, he got to follow the same thing Yahusha was when he was born. What was it? Regular man. And then he got in and filled with what? And then he went to go do. See, but that's why I say he got a spirit. I know, we just read it. Remember, he said he gave power unto the beast. Once he resurrected from the dead, then the beast get his power to do what it is that he coming to do. Same way that Yahusha resurrected from the dead, and he was given the power to do what he had to go do.
But according to the word, is born with the spirit outside. Right. I'm asking that, can it be an apostle that's born with the spirit?
John the Baptist was born with it. John the Baptist was born with it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No, that's saying though, the beast it didn't say the beast was born with it. No, the only people you see in the text born with it is John the Baptist specifically. He was born with it. No, ain't nobody born with it.
That's why I was asking. I was saying it could be an apostle not that born with the word.
No, it's just gonna be a regular nigga. Walking around.
He's gonna get the word in his time.
Yeah. He got a job to do. Same way Judas had a job to do. This is what he was born. We talk about a couple years. That's got to be sucked for the nigga who born for that purpose. And somebody out here born to be the false prophet. Same way that Judas was born to be Judas. Like when David wrote Psalms 109 and all this stuff in the text, you think when Judas was a little boy, he reading that, he was reading by himself. You know how ugly that is? You reading this here. My familiar friend will lift up his heel against me. Mama, what that mean? That's you, son. What? He was. He is. He is.
Niggas gonna give him the power, and then niggas gonna.
And he gonna raise up because he hate y'all the whole time. Come on, man. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Everybody on the stream, everybody. Let's just be honest. It's a lot of Hebrews out here dealing with the word in these days and times, is it not? Raising their kids with it. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga don't even know you raising. Not only are you raising up kids who gonna fulfill the text, nigga, you fulfilling it. Whether you are a direct character in it or not. See, that's why I was telling y'all, man, you cannot treat this like a textbook. We're not in a classroom. You're not getting a grade. You know what I'm saying? There's no cap and gown at the end of that, which is Masonic anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even realize in the ritual, like, we break our neck to go to this stuff too. That if we was knowing the word, you wouldn't even want to participate. You wouldn't send your son to go participate in no doggone cap and gown. You wouldn't send him to go participate in no. Why you think they ask you to take your tassel and flip it on the other side? That's what they do in them lodges. And that's not no conspiracy. Like I said, man, we had the whole first 3 degrees up the road. We reading stuff like, boy, these niggas bugged out.
The false prophet, he got powers. He can make fire come down.
But he getting that from the serpent. He ain't got no power.
I thought Jesus was gonna do it, but I read that.
No, it's a false prophet gonna do. He got to work the miracles so you believe.
And Alahym pointed out, like, that's something what they did in Exodus with the false magicians.
Yeah, they gotta do all that. It's following the same. It's following the same pattern. Do y'all know why they had you flip your tassel on your cap to the other side? It's basically like you coming from being unenlightened to enlightened, and that's why they had you do that. They don't necessarily put cap on in the lodges, but they perform that ritual in the lodges. You know what I'm saying? I say you look that up, find it out for yourself. The whole cap and gown ceremony is a Masonic ceremony. That's why the hat is a square. That's why they have you with all black on. You know what I'm saying? It's a Masonic ritual. You don't know it's a Masonic ritual, huh? Most graduations, most people they had them on with all black. That doesn't mean it's going to be 100% accurate all the way across the board. But the ritual itself is Masonic. Like, ain't nobody taking the time to see where a graduation ceremony come from. You just doing it. You know what I'm saying? That when they had you do this here, flipping your tassel and all the other type of stuff, it's Masonic, the roots of it. Like, I didn't do the graduation because I'm like, bump that, give me my diploma. I'm not buying this cap. I'm not buying. They said, what about your family? What about them? Oh, my mama want to see, is you done? Now you can go get a job and work your way, get out of my house. Period. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I wasn't amped up and excited. I get to walk across the stage and you have, nigga, I've been trying to get these 12 years so I can get from around here. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't care about this. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't emotionally invested in participating in that ceremony. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know nothing about nothing because I just didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Plus, we poor. I don't have money to spend on this because I got to pay for it. My mama ain't got it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't care. Just give me my diploma, bro. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for no ceremony. I'm here for this diploma. That's what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to denigrate a graduation ceremony, but you should know where stuff comes from that you participate in. You should know that. Like, why we don't know that we just do stuff mindlessly and don't even know where it comes from. And that's the sad part. This we done talked about it ad nauseum, so we're not going to go into great detail. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know where them Greek fraternities come from. They ain't nothing but small Masonic lodges getting you prepared to become a Mason. That's all they for, because everything they do is Masonic, and it pushes you to that. And there's evidence that you can see the Masonic influence of every street gang that's in America. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. All this stuff here, that's Masonic influence. Ain't nobody in Compton in the 60s come up with that. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing that. Before Aaron nigga started to think about he was going to start the Bloods of the Crips, that was already out here. Before anybody wanted to start the Black P-Stones and all that stuff, people were already doing that. So then you got to ask yourself, why are these organizations mimicking this organization? Where did you, I remember the first time we met a white boy, and he said, what was that junk called? Man, what was them niggas called with the pitchfork, man? What's the name of that game, man? Huh? Man, we were studying masonry then. And this nigga showing us all they stuff, and it was the same stuff that was in the books that we had about masonry. Niggas like, bro, you don't see that? All that, like everything they like, where y'all get that from? A nigga in the street ain't come up with that. I would throw because we like, bruh, the Mason, you know, we were young, man. So, you know, we had all type of stuff. You know, niggas thought we were weird on the stuff we was on. You know what I'm saying? But niggas like, you got to look at that. That's propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Is it gang killings going on? Yeah. Is it probably going on at the levels that the news say it go on? Probably not. Because I done told y'all this before. They try to make you killable. If I make everybody believe that you a low down, dirty animal, then I can put that on there and inflate stats and nobody cares about your passing. I just seen a dude was talking about Emmett Till could have been the host. Very well could have been. Who knows? Some people don't. Some people don't believe we came over here on ships. Some people don't believe that it was that bad. Some people don't believe that racism in the South was as bad as it was painted and that it was all programming to set people against each other. And it very well could have been. I don't know. I wasn't there. No, they talking about not that it wasn't real, but it didn't occur at the levels that they teach us. I mean, I know his stories. Yeah, and you have some people that feel like, for me personally, my personal thoughts on some of them that go, like, I think some of them niggas going too far with trying to say, oh, it wasn't this or wasn't that. Like, come on, nigga. We live in the South, so we know it was bad. You know what I'm saying? You know it was bad. You know what I mean? But he just looking at it in the aspect as they trying to have blacks versus whites. When shoot, nigga, white people just don't fool with us for whatever reason. Well, shoot, that they don't need to do nothing. They didn't have to do much work for that. But what I know they do downplay is how many niggas actually was over here and enslaved. Over here enslaved, and how many people you eating shortly after. They definitely fudged the numbers during the time of Reconstruction about how many actually owned land and did things of that nature. And there was a lot of black folks in political office at that time, and they fudged them numbers too. And that's what I mean on you can't trust nothing that really come from them because they lie. There was black, man, it was way more black congressmen and senators than what they try to say now. It's a lot. After that time, it was more successful now. Way more. No, but I'm saying, but you got to understand something. Historically, you go to school, that's not what they teaching you. They're telling you that all these niggas were broke, none of these niggas had no land, that there wasn't any black congressmen, black senators, or nothing, and that's not historically accurate. You know what I'm saying? You would have to go look that up, and that point would be that there may have been racial tension here, but not at the level of what is being told. That's what dude's point was. Like, niggas had issues, but it's not as bad as we're told it was. Which on that end, if you got that many congressmen and that many successful black people, probably not. You know what I'm saying? We know they'll do stuff to cause people to turn against one another. That's nothing for them to do. No, they call it agent provocateurs. That's what they do. Set a couple people up at a rally and have them do something to cause everybody else to react in the fashion that they want them to react. You know what I'm saying? They definitely planted people at them, what you call them things? Occupy Wall Street. A lot of them people, them don't be real protesters. That be the feds. That's why dudes thought 6ix9ine was the feds. Nevertheless. What was that in Revelation 13? But let's look at this here, right? Well, I was going in Matthew. I said something about Matthew. Matthew 3. Hey, Mordecai. Go sit down. You cheating? Come sit with your brother. He needs a friend. You want to sit with your brother? You love your brother? Is he a big boy? He's a big boy too? He's 1 year old? It's Matthew 4 I need, actually. Is it 4? It's 4. What you over here choking on? Little allergy baby. You got fruit snacks, allergy baby? No, 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 no. You got sticky hands. Little baby. Matthew 4 and 12. I got to crank it up a notch. Now, when Yahushua had heard that John was cast into prison, he departed in Galilee, and leaving in Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the seacoast, quiet, in the borders of Zebulun and Nephthalim, that it might be fulfilled. Drop down to that's not what I want neither. That's not what I want neither. It was Matthew 3, my bad. 3 and 13. Then come Yahushua from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be immersed of him. John forbade him, saying, I have need to be immersed of you. Come you to me? Yahushua answering, said unto him, suffer it be so now, for thus it become to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. And Yahushua, when he was immersed, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, Shamahim were open unto him, and he saw the Ruach of Alahym descending like a dove and lighting upon him. Now, of course, we know him being immersed and receiving the Ruach is akin to what? Him dying and being rose by the Ruach, correct? So when we see the, go ahead, sir. So when we see the beast take a deadly wound, it says he get his power from who? The serpent. Then the people ask the question, who's like this man? Who can make war with him? Now the opposite is, did anybody say when they seen Yahushua get up, who's like him? No. Did anybody say who can make war with him? No. Reason being, he didn't purport himself in that fashion. He appeared himself to people, but he didn't appear himself to a lot of people. Now when we look at the beast, the false prophet, we see he end up having a spirit on him. He get power from the adversary too, right? What did he get power to do? Cast fire down from heaven and to perform miracles. That's what he get power to do. Now let's turn around. How does that relate to Hamashiach then? Remember, because we looked at with David, right? David sent people in his name to speak of him, correct? Now, Yahushua sent who in his name to speak of him? And did they not get power from heaven to be able to do certain things? They got the ability to perform miracles as well. So what you're looking at is you see Hashatan, the devil, you see the beast, and you see the false prophet. The false prophet is sent to bear witness of the beast, which is bearing witness to who? Satan. You know what I'm saying? You turn around and you look at it scripture-wise, Yah-wise, you have the Father, the Son, and the apostles. The apostles are sent to bear witness of the Son, who is bearing witness of who? The Father. And that's what they mimicking. Now, we talked about this the other day. John chapter 4 says Alahym is a what? A Ruach. He's a consuming fire as well. Say Alahym is a Ruach and a consuming fire at that. So, like I mentioned to y'all Monday, Satan rules by what? Deception or emotions. We're going to look at something, right? Let's come to the book of Job. What's the one life event y'all believe can invoke the greatest emotion? Death. And when you look at Satan, what does he use, especially in these modern times? What do they try to use to emote and move people to do what they want you to do? They usually use death. You know what I'm saying? You just seen that instance with this man's funeral. But you seen that when Sandy Hook happened. You seen that when it happened at the little shooting in Orlando. You seen it happen in 9/11. You seen it happen in the little shooting down south. You know what I'm saying? To use emotion to manipulate people. You know what I'm saying? And death is usually the strongest emotion because it's an event that is final. You know what I'm saying? You die, you ain't coming back. But I heard a gentleman make a strong point. And they say all them people supposed to die in New York. And they say we didn't hear nothing about all them funerals. That's a lot of bodies. You talking about 3,000 people dying. He's like, where's the record? Because you know what? Some people take the time to look up these records. Are these people who they say died?
That many people died.
That's a lot of bodies. Yeah, they do. I'm not saying this, that, then the third. It's just things that he pointed out that didn't make sense to him. Of course, you're gonna have all of that. He said, to me, this didn't make sense. You said 3,000 people died. Where's the record of 3,000 bodies being put to rest? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? And he was like, there's no record of this. He was like, that's odd to me. I said, you know, it's not, because that's not something you're going to be thinking about when you're going about your day. Dang, I wonder if they had 3,000 funerals today. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to have the time to cross-reference that? You ain't thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? At all. How many of you ever thought rationally when you were in an emotional state? I know I never have. Now, I'm not talking about react rationally. I'm talking about think rationally. When you're in an emotional state, you can't think rationally. You have to let the emotion pass for you to begin to think. Because when you're emotional, your thoughts are everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? But let's look at another. There's another thing he mentioned too. He was like, where were all the things for the people in Las Vegas when all them people got shot? You know what I'm saying? He was like, what about in Orlando? Like, these people telling us all these people got shot, but we don't actually know these people got shot. And the burden of proof is not on us to prove these people got shot. The burden of proof is actually on them because you the one told me that. Do you know what I'm saying? We just believe in it. Why? Because you've been trained that if it come on the news, it had to happen. Because if it didn't happen, why would you have told me that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm taking that in the aspect of the beast. How is the whole world, if we look at it in the time construct of what time that we live in? Because we know we riding down the mystery of Alahym. If this man get killed and resurrected from the dead, probably it's going to be on television and everybody's going to see it. Or on their phone. Everybody get news alerts on their phone about some stuff. If there's a great world leader and he get hit, you probably going to get a notification. Some people gonna click on it and look at it live on their phone. Oh my God, he resurrected. The God has come back to save. And there it is. And there it is. And people gonna believe it because you saw it what? How many times people tell you don't believe everything you see on TV? Don't believe everything you see on the internet. But in reality, we do though. Because you ain't gonna think the news people gonna lie to you. If somebody was to say the news is an arm of the CIA, oh man, you're tripping. Till you actually do the research and find out, yes, the CIA owns a majority of these companies. The CIA owns the Washington Post. And look here, right? Jeff Bezos owned the Washington Post. The Washington Post is owned by Time. It deals with Time Warner, who owns CNN, who owns TMZ. Now y'all know who Time Warner Media is, right? That Warner Brothers. You know what I'm saying? Now you mean to tell me, because you know I had just asked y'all about that the other day. Like I've always been trying to figure out how does TMZ get all this footage first? Yeah, Barry, that's the main dude. But I just looked into it further and see he the face of it, but Time Warner actually owns it. Easy, because you know what I'm saying? Because I'm tripping like Time Warner, nigga. He was hired to play a role. And the only reason I found that out because dude was like, Nip was on Atlantic Records, which is owned by Time Warner. So he was trying to prove another point. So he was like, they put him out here like he was an independent artist, but the whole time he worked for the machine. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's neither here nor there. All I'm looking at is now I know why TMZ get all this footage. Oh yeah, it was definitely a valid point. But for me, that wasn't what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for, I need to know why these crackers get everything first. You know what I'm saying? How you get police footage, how you get security cam footage for the police get it. Because the police supposed to get that first. Because see, you know, they just had your man's on TMZ too. Oh, Leonard Fournette, they definitely had TMZ, definitely had him up when he got pulled over. Definitely said TMZ Sports. Caught this nigga speeding. This nigga said this nigga doing 65 down St. John's Bluff. But the thing is, how that junk looks crazy. The nigga license just got suspended last month. Nigga, they ain't but early April. And y'all making a big deal about that to throw him on TMZ? Leonard Fournette ain't even that big of a figure in sports to throw this nigga on TMZ. For speed. He locked him up for suspended license. For not paying regular stuff. They did lock him, and then this is how I know it's fake. They say the nigga got out 24 minutes later. That's impossible in Duval County if you've ever been in that jail. Well, you're not getting out in 25 minutes, boy. They ain't got nothing to do with no Leonard Fournette. Nigga, that junk wasn't real. Nigga, I wouldn't care who it was. You're not going through the Duval County jail in 24 minutes. You got to go to first appearance.
I ain't gonna lie though.
You got a little name.
I ain't gonna lie. The man said, he said if I would call him, the whole thing he could have got me out before I got him. He said that though.
You still could have been there a couple hours.
Yeah. He said he was out 11.
They said that I read the news story. It said he was out in 24 minutes. This ain't New York City and other cities and states where people get out that fast. Now, I ain't been in there in 15 years almost. You get locked up, you go through that back door. They had you stand at the little thing talking to them people. You go stand around the corner. They tell you to give up your property. They put it in a bag. You sign for it. You put on the green jumpsuit. You go sit in another cell. Then you go around the corner, take your picture and your fingerprints, go sit in another cell. Then see the medical people. Then go sit in another cell, and then you go to your room. Now, you might get ROR, but it still takes time to get ROR without going to see first appearance. Bro, ain't nobody got out of Duval County Jail in 24 minutes ever that I've known of. And I know a lot of people that have been in it.
Go in one cell, never have to change clothes. I bet you
24 minutes, bro?
That ain't bad. I can believe maybe like an hour.
24 minutes, that's what they said. Yeah, but he a nigga.
And he ain't got no charge.
That's a misdemeanor. Which means if you catch a suspended license, you going to see the judge in a moment. But at the same token, but it ain't just about money, because a lot of niggas got money. Money don't mean nothing when you black. How many Jaguar been locked up and they ain't got out in 24 minutes? A lot of Jaguar been locked up. The only Jaguar I know something got swept under the rug and somebody got raped at Fred Taylor house. He wasn't there, but it got swept under the rug. You ain't got no lawyer to come get you in that fast. You could have been calling that nigga when he got the car. How he gonna call him if he in the back seat? You know what I'm saying? Either way it go. That ain't due process. That ain't due process. And hold on, and this how I even know, this even more so how I know it's fake, because then they have footage of him going in the back door and it wasn't the news people. They had footage of him, you know the back door. You know when you go in there, they close that gate. You know what I'm saying? And they have footage of him then. They don't never have footage of nobody going in that back door. Know what I'm saying? The news people can't get in there. The news people are not in there. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about JSO procedure. When you go through that, ain't nobody in there but JSO. In the garage. Ain't nobody in there but JSO. In the garage, him going through that back door. You know fool where you ain't pulling up that garage door doing all that. Not at the memorial building. Well, that's your close up. You can see this, that was him. How many of y'all been in that Duval County jail? Not in it, but by it. Where the garage at? The garage right off the street. You can pull up. No, the garage ain't right off the street. The garage right by the sauce box. Who pulling up to the sauce? Who hanging out over there? But it wasn't the news. The news can't get in there. The news can't get in the garage. Yeah, who hanging around there? I'm gonna catch this. Then that's what I mean. That's why it's fake. It ain't real. Way ain't that much money in the world to get out of Duval County jail in 24 minutes. Not no nigga. Oh, and then this is what made it even more. Cap. Then this is what made it even more cap. They say the same cracker who pulled him over the last time
And let him go.
and let him go.
I read that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm bringing him in this time. You know, that was
I get all that, but I can care let you bringing him in all you want to. You ain't nobody getting out of jail in 24 minutes. I don't care how much money you got. Not 24 minutes. That means there's something going on. And then I say TMZ got the footage first. So that means they trying to, but you know that they already got issues with him. So clearly they trying to do something to break it. No, trying to do something to break it. Oh, they had a lot going on. No, but with him, I think they're trying to break it. Get in line. Or whatever they want him in line with, because they feel like he don't listen. Niggas not. Like they were mad he finna jump up there in Buffalo and beat that white boy up. Sometimes they do stuff to paint a picture to get you in line. You ain't following the rules.
Yeah, think about it. Something happened to them. All that gonna follow them. You try to sign something else. They're gonna try to use all that. Look at him. He don't pay tickets. Misconduct.
Mess with your money and say, you see this? We got control over your career. And then I've got, because again, what I was telling you, they're not giving people millions of dollars and not having control. You know what I'm saying? They want control. Man, don't nobody know what they be getting themselves into when they join that stuff, man. You just want to play football. You just want to be an entertainer. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. That nigga said, welcome to the life. This nigga.
They just gotta eat all the players talk before they go that saying
I hear you.
be broke. The two of y'all gonna make it.
Come over here for a second. Is it 2 Samuel I desire, man? Let's look at this nigga Absalom stealing the people's heart with some nice words. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Job. I had done that. Job 1. Let's look at what Satan did, man. Then after that, we go to Luke 4. You all right? You want to sit with your mommy?
Hey, son.
Huh? You want to stay here? Or you want to sit with your mommy? Very well then. Would you like a snack? Would you like a snack? Would you like a snack? Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared Alahym and eschewed evil. Yes. Yes. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she asses, in a very great household, so that he was the greatest of all the men of the east. His sons went and feasted in their house. We don't need all that. Verse 6. So we could tell, right? He got a lot of kids and he got a lot of money, right? You're a righteous man. Now there was a day when the sons of Alahym came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and Hashatan came also among them. And Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, where you coming from? Hashatan answered Yahuwah and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Now you know what did Peter tell you that your adversary, the devil, do? He's a roaring lion, going through the earth looking whom he can devour. The thing, remember, he's the author of confusion. Confusion is rooted in emotion. You can't confuse someone who's spiritually sound. That's why he said he's not the author of confusion. If you spiritual, how can you be confused? You would already know your Alahym don't confuse. You would know the wiles of your enemy, the devil. So therefore, you would already be able to identify him. I remember I was telling somebody some years ago. I was like, if they trying to rush you, that's the devil. Y'all don't rush nobody. You know what I'm saying? You don't read nowhere where he try to rush you. Somebody try to hurry. Make a decision. That's the devil. 9 times out of 10, that decision gonna be the wrong one for you anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Nigga put pressure on you. Only time somebody should be putting pressure on you is if you have a deadline and it should be school or business related. Like, we got to make a decision. We got to make a move. You know what I'm saying? Tell me something. We got to do something. We're down to a couple days. But that would mean you already know the deadline was coming. But you talking about come at you? See, you should know that when most of y'all were young, you were either being pressured or doing the pressuring when it came down to sexual activity. And you should have known. And what did they usually use to put that pressure on you? Emotion. Emotion. If you love me, you'll do it if you like me, and all this old cornball stuff that people say to spark your emotions. Now you done made a decision that you may have not made if your emotions weren't moved. Some of y'all been in the word, and you done have people come at you trying to get you to do stuff off emotion. Y'all don't move off emotion. Understand and know that. You know that in Ephesians, he tell you that if you are of Hamashiach, you have crucified your affections and lusts. I mean, you died to your emotions. Meaning you do not live or think or move based off your desires and your emotions. Simply, that's all that means. We know Yahushua had emotions because the book said Yahushua wept. You only weep when you feel what? Well, two things, sadness or joy, because some people weep when they're happy. You know what I'm saying? When you're weeping when you're happy, that's a good weep. When you're weeping when you're sad, that's a different type of emotion. That's an emotion. But his emotion, his reaction when he seen Lazarus dead and he wept, didn't cause him to act a fool. He still moved according to the will of his father. Mordecai's clearly happy to see you. Probably because you have a snack. Are you going to share with him? Very well. Verse 8. Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fear Alahym and eschew evil. Then Hashatan answered Yahuwah, do Job fear Alahym for nothing? You've made a hedge about him and about his house and everything he has on the side, and blessed the work of his hands. And his substance is increased in the land. Put forth your hand now and touch all that he has, and he'll curse you to your face. So, number one, we know Revelation says that Satan is accused of who? And he accused you what? Day and night. So, how did Satan feel like he could get at Job? By touching everything that he had. So he felt like by causing this emotional loss, it would cause him to say, F Yahuwah. I curse Yahuwah's name. That's what he thought would happen. Because that's the only way he can get at you. He can only get at you through emotion. Because remember, Alahym is a ruach. You can't tempt a ruach. That's why Alahym said he don't tempt no man with evil. Nor is Alahym tempted. You can't tempt the spirit. You can only tempt flesh. That's why the book tells you blessed is the man that endured temptation. Because if you endure temptation, that means you endure the desires of your flesh and you overcame them. And that's why he said, I give a crown of life to all those that love me. That's why you have to see to understand and know the difference. That's why when the beast come and he do what he do, he's going to tempt by emotion. What does it say the beast going to do if you don't take the mark of his name or worship him? No, but besides, I'm saying, what does he say he going to do to people? He going to behead people. Do you not think that's an emotional trigger to get people to move because of the fear of death? That's an emotional trigger. So when you see that and you fearful of death, that emotion is going to start coming through you. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to worship the beast. But what did it say in Revelation 12 about those who were in what? Said, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony, which means their faith was in Alahym, so they weren't moved by emotion. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was. They say, hey, we care for you to answer you in this matter, because there's a lot of things we can't do. Now, hold on, right? She was telling me the other day what Farrakhan said at that funeral. Talking about 666 and how he tried to break it down. No, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Yeah, it was hilarious. Of course, Farrakhan, if it's Farrakhan there, you know it's out. You should already know that. Because that's Honorable Louis Farrakhan. All the rappers love Farrakhan. But when you run, see, y'all looking at it from y'all terms because you looking at it as regular people and not propaganda and pagan rituals. He got to be there. Somebody got to represent Allah. Somebody got to be there. Doesn't matter if the public don't, the young kids don't mess with Farrakhan. Oh, that nigga say, see, he said what he said, he called it, because I seen somebody post it. He kept calling him Nipsey Russell. She said, that nigga say, I said Nipsey Russell because of Russell West. And that's ironic that this nigga dies and this nigga the next game get a 20-20-20 game. Talking about I dedicated this to you for rolling 60s. And we know that these people are big on this type of stuff. And that's a very difficult thing to do. It's only been done once in the history of the NBA. You know what I'm saying? To get it. Yeah, you know, Russ from around there. That's where he from. He got a 20 points, 20. Oh, and he said that's why he kept calling him Nipsey Russell for Russell Westbrook. And he said, you know, he had the 20-20-20 game, rolling 60s, 666, because that's the number of the beast, which is a man. And it's funny because you can sit back and you can look at it, but in reality, he letting you know that everybody in here is of the devil. That's really what he was doing. And he was letting you know that this man is of the devil. Why would you use that terminology? To describe a man. And we cool with it.
They weren't cool with it, but they roll with it. They ain't put him on the stage. And I wouldn't put that nigga on the stage now, but you got to go, bro.
And they probably not gonna be cool with it, but they ain't down with y'all, so they gotta slide.
They gonna slide.
They gonna be uncomfortable.
Cause guess what he said? See, because his point was, see, he was a beast, but he became a man. Pure utter foolery. But guess what? You can do that when you got 10, 15,000 people don't know no word. You know what I'm saying? So they can hear that and be like, you know what? He was acting like a beast. He was a gang member. But now he done came up and he did all this wonderful stuff in the community. He gave people jobs and he gave us hope. And the hope is, your hope is in a man. And that's why you're cursed. And your name gonna be written in the ground because your hope is in a man. This is one of the reasons why the book tells you, cursed be the man who trusteth in man. Because again, we'll read that. That's what the Revelation say. The mark of the beast is the number of a man. A man. So in the end of the day, you put your trust and confidence in a man. And when you see now, of course, now give it till next week, and they ain't gonna be talking about this nigga no more. You know what I'm saying? For some of the people, for some of these people of this generation, yeah, he will. And again, and that's what I was going, and that's what I was gonna mention, like I was telling y'all. And I didn't learn this from no conspiracy. Hey, calm down, Mordecai. I didn't learn this from no conspiracy theory stuff. I learned this from a class that I took about movies. There's only and then we didn't talk about this before. It's only 3 plots in every movie you watch of the same movie. You know what I'm saying? And one of them is a Messiah archetype character. Superman is a Messiah archetype character. Black Panther was a Messiah archetype character. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a whole gang of them. You know what I'm saying? But the point is to condition your mind for a man to come through and save the world. That's Mordecai and Mike. You need to stop. Mordecai.
Come on, Mordecai.
Sit on down with your brother and chill out. You know what I'm saying? And the point is not to stick on the movies. It's the point of the propaganda and mental conditioning that they're doing to get you to accept a false Messiah archetype. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we talk about that's what they did with Pac. That's what they're doing with Nipsey. That's what they did with JFK. And they're going to find another one and do it with them. You know what I'm saying? So when you see the beast get wounded and he resurrect from the dead, you're going to be like, yeah, it's my guy. And I'm going to follow him. Now, what was Joe's reaction when he lost everything that he had? What did he say? Hold on. He asked me this the other day, so I'm gonna see what this here, right? Come over here to verse 13, right? I'm gonna see, you asked me this question the other day. I'm gonna see who remembers this, because we did this before. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drink wine in their eldest brother's house. Hey, calm it down. Calm it down. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen plowing and the asses feeding beside, and the Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell you. And while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of Alahym is fallen from Shamahim, and have burned up the sheep and the servants, and have consumed them, and only I alone am escaped to tell you. Y'all remember what that go with? That Luke 10, right? What did he say in Luke 10? What did Yahushua say in Luke 10? He said, I saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven. And that verse right there, because who was doing the destruction? Was it Yah or was it Satan? So when he said he seen the fire Alahym, that was dealing with Satan. He the one came down there because y'all didn't do that. Satan asked for permission to do this. You know what I'm saying? And what did Job say to his wife when she said you need to curse Alahym and die? What did he tell her? He said, you talk like one of the foolish women. He said, naked I came out my mother's womb and naked I will return. Y'all give, y'all take it away. So the derived response that Satan was hoping to get out of him, he didn't get. Then when he struck him with the boils, he said, okay, let me plague him personally. And then he'll buck. And that's not what he did, is it? Now I was gonna get Absalom, but we ain't got time. Y'all know what Absalom was out there doing, right? Steal the hearts of the people. Working on their, because y'all ever heard this terminology? Win the hearts and minds of the people. It's a strong tenet in military operations. When the United States military goes in other countries and they seek to overthrow them, they seek to try to win the hearts and minds of the people with propaganda. You know what I'm saying? You got to realize something, man. You have to pay attention to when they're trying to push a certain narrative. And that narrative, like you can see it now. I'm trying to think of something now because I don't consume a lot of media to recall a lot of stuff off the top of my head. Let's try to pick okay, case in point, because I told Darius about this here. Who remembers the narrative about, matter of fact, let me ask this here. Who remembers Al-Qaeda? You remember them? What was the narrative about Al-Qaeda? What was the narrative? They were terrorists, but what was the narrative though? The complete narrative? No, that was in Iraq. Who was the head of Al-Qaeda? So that was propaganda. What do y'all know about bin Laden? When did he for the feds?
In the 80s.
In the 80s. Well, close. He was supposed to be the one helping to overthrow the Soviet government in the 80s when the USSR invaded Afghanistan. Then you had a 15-year period that you ain't hear nothing about him. Then he popped up. He was supposed to be the one trying to blow the World Trade Center up in 1993. You know what I'm saying? That's why you hear Biggie say blow up World Trade, because most people don't even realize that happened. You know what I'm saying? They claim they put some vans in the parking garage, blew up the vans to try to blow up the building. You know what I'm saying? Then you go another 8 years. They don't never talk about this dude. You know what I'm saying? The trade centers come down and they painted him as being the biggest terrorist in the history of the world to do what? As an excuse to go fight a country that had nothing to do with the event that you claim that this person had something to do with. They went into Iraq. They went into Iraq to get rid of another stooge who was no longer purpose of their narrative, which was Saddam Hussein. See, if you were sitting down, that wouldn't have happened. Go on to your mama.
They say Saddam Hussein, like, he's the person that they put as dictator. The United States put him as dictator.
He was running the Iraq during the Iraq-Iran war in the 80s, which is before your time. There was a war in the Middle East at that time between Iraq and Iran. The United States was down with Saddam Hussein during that war because they didn't like Iran. Then, fast forward 10 years later, and what ends up happening? He's supposed to be invading Kuwait. You had the first Gulf War. Then, 10 years later, this man been in power for the whole time doing, and you go kill and snatch him about something that you said somebody else did, who's based out of Saudi Arabia, who's hanging out in Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? And that was all propaganda. You don't even hear these people talk about Muslim terrorists no more. You don't even, remember they used to have the threat level, red, yellow. They don't even do that no more. No, obviously you bought the propaganda. We got everything done we wanted to get done. We can move on to the next thing. And now what you... So then they had you talking about ISIL. ISIS gonna get us. Give you another, because the propaganda we use with Al-Qaeda's not gonna work no more. We've killed off that character. That Osama bin Laden character has been killed off. I can't feed you that anymore. So they came with Arab Spring, which was all these uprisings in Egypt and in Libya and in Syria to keep you in a heightened state of fear, which was an emotion. You know what I'm saying?
They showing documentaries about Muslims in America going back and fight for ISIS. ISIS communicating with people in America, getting them to
come over there. Come on, man.
They got a Facebook page. They had a Facebook page.
And it's propaganda. It's propaganda. It's not real. You had people arguing about, oh, Al Qaeda gonna get us. Nigga, it doesn't exist. If you go overseas and go to talking about them people, they're gonna look at you like you stupid. Well, I've met people from overseas that feel like the people in the United States of America are the dumbest people on the planet.
Yeah. What I told you when I was reading documentary, like political control, like legally, like medically, the population gotta be crazy. Like they gotta have like what's the word called? What's the medical term?
No. They got a clinical term.
Schizophrenia. That's it.
Schizophrenia is multiple personalities, or you hear voices.
I can't think, but it was another term I heard before. He was like the whole American population. They had to keep them at that mentally, like.
Now, according to the book Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, they say they try to keep you at a 6th grade level.
It's something where somebody can tell you, it's a condition. It's called, whatever it's called. If somebody tells you something, and just for what you say you believe it, medically, that's a mental condition. If you see the sky is blue,
and I tell you it's green,
the sky is red or the sky is green,
you stupid.
And you eventually tell yourself that, and you tell other people that, when everybody can see that it's a color, it was like mentally that's it was like the whole American population is like that through that educational system because they teach you one thing that's different.
He says she said, "Are you delusional?" That's the word you
I think it might be delusional.
Yeah, you delusional. Shoot, that's what the word tell you. He said, "I send you a strong delusion that you might believe a lie." But our people are delusional.
I feel like everybody is.
If you live in America, you absolutely have till you start. And this and case in point, right? We were talking about this other night. That's why when you begin to question narrative, deem you as crazy and dismiss you when you're just not accepting what they're telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's no longer the point you saying it's a conspiracy theory. You're critically analyzing what's in your face. I don't care what you telling me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you told me this nigga got shot 5 times in the chest and in the head, but then you told me he called a nigga after he got shot 5 times in the chest and in the head. I got enough sense to know a nigga getting shot like that ain't calling nobody. Ain't no nigga getting shot 5 times in the chest and in the head and calling nobody on the phone. 9 times, if the nigga accurate enough to hit you 5 times in the chest, you ain't gonna have enough breath to call nobody. But see that.
It literally happened, like in real life, not just that. Not saying that it didn't happen, not saying you didn't question it. I'm just saying I can't put everything in the box.
No, not at all. But I know you insulting my intelligence. I know you insult my intelligence when you got 3 cameras right above the store where the nigga get hit at, and you give me some grainy footage from a camera across the street. And it's 2019, nigga. We know you got HP. I know you got high quality. It's 2019, my nigga. You gave me a VHS camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they own
But I'm just talking about the new people. You can own but see the one thing about it, I don't care if you own the whole plaza or not. A homicide investigation, police take all that. That don't mean nothing what you own. Subpoena power, you got to come up off all of that. No, you can't. But
like I own the plaza and I got to turn my
but yeah, you can't. But see, not if the police released it. But how did the nigga cross the street get it out? And the police saying it came out so fast that usually doesn't happen. That usually doesn't happen. Especially a rapper. How many rappers done got nigga? They still ain't solved Jam Master Jay murder. Most rappers' murders don't get solved this fast. That joint was out the same day.
I mean, they had a lot of witnesses, quote unquote. With that, they just up there in the studio.
Same day. You know what I'm saying? This is people will buy anything over here. They told us 2 buildings brought down two high towers. So if we'll buy that, what else will you buy?
You saw the building fall. You saw the planes hit it and the building fell later, like mentally.
Yeah.
How? Like you're not even thinking like you're seeing something, you let them tell you what it is. Like you looking at and he was saying that you can see how society is. You got people that you clearly got a opinion between that.
You're telling me you're a woman.
You're telling me you're a woman.
And I'm supposed to.
Now you're a woman. Like you don't see that you got to stand up for people. Like what's wrong with you?
But that's
I'm telling you, like they born like this.
What's wrong with you? Hey, that's real talk though. I'm trying to think of any other events that have occurred that they told us was such.
The first Russia, all they got is satellites, everybody ducking, and they think everybody thinking they gonna get on that 8 seconds. Like,
How do you feel about the Nelson Mandela effect?
What? Yeah. Yeah. You know they was racing. Hold on. You know they were racing. We get to space first.
Yeah, so now they got
That, you know how you already know how I feel about that. We ain't gotta even go about that. We ain't gonna go about that. All that delusion, because you ain't finna tell me you landed on the moon with no gravity and no wind and playing a flag in the moon and the flag flapping. I know what I'm looking at. The flag is flapping. I'm looking at it. Man, they can stand up on TV butt naked, spread their booty hole open, and they'll tell you looking at a baby doll, and you gonna believe that that's a baby doll. And I'm using something that extreme, because that's disgusting visual. But then I'm telling you that's a baby doll. You're not looking at a nasty man. That's a baby doll you're looking at. And you're gonna believe it. Well, what you mean with Nelson Mandela? Mandela was another a Messiah archetype.
Yeah, they're saying like he died. Hey, the Nelson Mandela effect is not when
He didn't die
died in the 90s, and then that's when he died in 2000.
No, he's supposed to have been in prison the whole time.
It was like he died. A lot of times they made us say he died.
I mean, what they do with certain people is they kill them, trot somebody else out there for a little while. The original person been dead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they say he a clone. Nigga just was bad body and overweight. Now nigga look like a human. You can tell that nigga lost weight because that nigga happy to walk around with his shirt off. You can tell when a nigga been lost some weight.
I don't think it's cold, but that nigga.
Yeah, that nigga.
When you watch that nigga old video, how that nigga like, how he move now, that nigga.
He nimble. That what happened when you lose 80 pounds. Yeah, that's what happened when you change. That nigga was on narcotics and he lost weight. But guess what they did? Guess what now? But you my puppet now. Now you dance, nigga. You dance. You dance when I tell you to dance. You talk when I tell you to talk. You do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it.
But I think that's what it was. Like you were saying, like people who go against the grain, like they have to do.
They gonna break you.
Like it seems like he got broke.
Yeah, they sent him to prison. I don't want to go back. You want me to put on hot shorts? I'll put the hot shorts on. Man, look, I'm gonna tell you right before we move on. When you have a certain level of influence, those people want to dictate and control the influence. It doesn't matter if you're a pastor. It doesn't matter if you're a rapper. It doesn't matter if you're a singer. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter if you're an actor. It doesn't matter. These people are not going to allow someone to influence millions of people, and it don't be along the narrative that they are pushing. Do you think they would allow a man in this society to be able to have the influence of millions of people to preach the true gospel, do you think they would allow him to have, I'm talking about through their mediums, meaning you can get on CBS, you can get on ABC, you can get on network cable, you can get on Fox News, you can get on CNN. You think they're going to let him do that? Because what he's talking is contrary to their narrative. So they're going to get you out of here or you're going to sell out. Just like it came up, everybody knew Al Sharpton was a Fed. Now people coming out, oh, I didn't know he was a federal informant. You didn't know. It's common knowledge.
But it's a generation. That's the thing. Like, they had to create a consistent mindset throughout the generation.
Absolutely. And all that mindset is to set you up, is to believe in the beast. You won't question. You'll purchase the propaganda. Like it's here, overseas, I don't know because clearly we don't live over there, so we don't consume the media that they consume. They may not be into celebrities and athletes like we are over here. Because I told you that before. The saddest thing in the world is when black people say pushing our culture, and we talking about rappers. So that's the only part of our culture is music. That's the only thing we ascribe culture to is music. That's sad. Because we have a lot more to offer than just a nigga rhyming. Nevertheless, come over here to Luke chapter 4, man. Yeah, you were going to run into that, and that was going to end ugly for you. Luke chapter 4 and verse 1. And it says, Yahushua being full of the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, what was he full of? He full of the Ruach. Returned from Jordan and was led by the Ruach into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing, and when they were ended, afterward he was hungry. And the devil said unto him, if you be the son of Alahym, command this stone that it be made bread. Now, in what regards, why is he tempting Yahushua in this fashion? Because he feel he weak, which means he's in a what? Now, when he asking him, y'all should already know the answer to this question. When he's asking him to turn the stones into bread, what is he actually tempting him to do? Go against or to deal wickedly against the covenant. Go ahead and bring to pass the covenant of life before it's time. Because if you do it, guess what happens? Satan wins, death is not defeated. Yah is termed to be a liar, and now you got to serve Satan. All because you're in an emotional state. That's why it mentioned he was full of the Ruach. And that goes back to man don't live by bread alone, but every word that proceed out the mouth of Alahym, the man live. See, then you wouldn't be reacting off your emotions because you'll be filled with that word in you. That's why he say if you walk in the Ruach, you'll live in the Ruach. But everybody walk around in the flesh. See, you can't bounce around from Ruach to flesh. You're either going to be flesh or you're going to be Ruach because you can't be both. Right or wrong, you can't be both, King. No, you can't be both. That's why I mentioned it too. I'm glad you mentioned that about being delusional. That's why righteous people are not accepted in this society because niggas is delusional. You know what I'm saying? You have been, and that goes with y'all doing it because when I called, you didn't answer. And when I spake, you didn't hear. So I choose out your own delusions that you might believe a lie because you don't want to see righteousness because you want to determine your own righteousness. This is why she said, like at his funeral, they said, he's Jesus. Nigga, are you insane? And I seen a nigga say that was disrespectful to Nipsey Hussle by saying he was Jesus. Nigga, you is a literal goddamn fool. Because that is disrespectful to the Lord. That's what they were talking about. I was gonna put that in the chat. That nigga posted that this man was Jesus. I don't care what name you use, whatever you say, that nigga is a literal damned fool, scripturally. Period. And the niggas in the sports group say, no, bro, that's disrespectful to Nipsey. Nigga, damn Nipsey, this your savior. How in the world? How you cool with that? But you know why niggas cool with that? Because in 2019, niggas don't believe the word like that no more. It's not even, no, I'm saying that because now in 2019, niggas own what his mama owned. Pray to the ancestors guide him. That's what niggas own. That's what niggas own. Niggas is on return back to your African spiritual. So when this nigga, and guess what? Hold on now. So if you return it to your African spiritual roots, according to this, what they return it to? Ball. They coming back to the Canaanite gods you've been serving. I don't want no. I like my Coke pure. I like my Coke pure. You know what I'm saying? No, no, that's serious because that's what we used to do. We cooked it up and sold it to you how we got it. We ain't re-rock it. We ain't cut him. You know what I'm saying? We got it from the plug. We whip him up. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's stepped on. I want to be like Cuz on Blow. Derek for real. He say, George, I can't feel my face. That's what I need. But see, that's the shift.
I mean, but people believe that. Yeah, but people believe that.
It's both.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's real. Or
That's what I'm saying. No, what you saying, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying that they rocking with African spirituality. So they don't want nothing to do with this no more.
And they doing that because they like, oh, like, oh, well, that book's for African spirituality. Oh, this book not thinking, nigga. This book wasn't written for like nigga, it's been pieces. Like nigga, the whole book put together.
No, but you know the point what you just mentioned? That's asinine to me. So because something was written first, that make it more valid?
Thank you.
I don't get it.
And then my thing is that book is dated. Any book, this book is not dated.
No, not at all. But I can see, I know why people would, because like you said, right, they not looking at the concept of Yahushua, Jesus, Yahushua, whatever you want to call them, as we do. They looking at him as a fictitious, allegorical character. So,
but they know the God is.
But no, I'm talking about the average person. Most of the people who were sitting out there at that funeral, there was a chick on my page who was Israelite who was at his funeral. You know what I'm saying? Most of the people who sitting out there who heard her say that, they don't know the ins and outs of that type of stuff like that. I would say 65% of them don't. Maybe another 35% do. But I just noticed it's a strong shift amongst our people to quote unquote African spirituality. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a lot of women out here who practicing witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know it's coming to an end, man. My soul rejoices. Not because of the wrath and destruction, because it's almost over. Because it's almost over. It's going to be hella ugly for it, dude. We getting close, though. It's nearing. It's getting close, though. Because the type of stuff, there was, just sit back, like, okay, I'm a little older. I never heard niggas talk about African spirituality in the early 2000s. Never heard niggas talk about African spirituality in the 90s. And I ain't talking about because of the internet. I'm talking about actual conversations with people. Niggas was not on that. Niggas wasn't rocking no dashikis in the 90s. But they wasn't on that, though. Them niggas was 5%ers.
I'm just saying, I ain't saying about African, but niggas was
Yeah, but they was just wearing that stuff. But what they was on was 5%ers or the book. Enough, but that's not African spirituality. That's Islam. The person who, okay, that's what the person who created the 5%ers was a dude named Clarence 13X. He was a part of Nation of Islam because all the lessons from the Nation of Gods of Earth come from Nation of Islam. So he around that time, he left the Nation of Islam because he was like, how can the black man be God, but W.D. Farrar is a white man? You know what I'm saying? So he left and started the Nation of Gods of the Earth, and then they found him murked in Harlem maybe like 10, 13 years later. You know what I'm saying? Farrakhan didn't probably kill him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The same way that they killed Malcolm, but they were working with the feds, though. But Malcolm was working with the feds, though. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean...
What you think everyone's trying to get out?
They just controlled him. They just controlled him. Like, they didn't have control of him in the beginning.
They had a reporter of Malcolm X who said, I ain't giving up.
No, I'm saying they didn't have control of him to start, but once they sold the division for him to break away from Elijah Muhammad, I can control you now. And once I don't have no purpose for you, I'll pay the niggas on the other side and the control war will help you further what you're trying to do. Cap, you keep on going because we're going to help you to see the control coming in on not like directly these crackers slapping fives with him. They played him and took him out of here. And they played him.
Because I remember hearing recorded the FBI came to...
You heard it, but you're not listening. He was not controllable when he started. This was a street nigga coming from prison who believed everything Elijah Muhammad was saying. So once the split came, that caused dissension between him and Elijah Muhammad. Now we can come in on the other side and say, hey, what you trying to do with agents? We can help you do it, help foster a mentality where you want to include and do this here. On the whole other side, we talking to the niggas you left from, like boom, 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 so we can send you niggas to murk you, and I control both sides of the equation and got you out of here.
So when you say working, I'm thinking like
It doesn't matter if you directly or indirectly, you still working for them.
I say working like he doing this to feds.
Directly or indirectly, when you sell crack, you working for the feds.
Okay, so now I see what you're trying to
You know what I'm saying?
Now I see what
They
you're
played him, took him out of here. Control. I got to control the narrative. They can't allow an individual to move rogue. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get you out of here. They would never allow Fred Hampton to move rogue. He's either going to get down or we're going to get you out of here. You know what I'm saying? But only because you have an audience. See, when you have an audience, you have influence.
5% of you getting audience.
No, that's just Islam stuff. That's just nigga stuff. Man, niggas be talking about peace, God, and be the most violent people you ever come across. A lot of stuff be nigga
What
stuff.
about that dark skinned bald headed nigga?
Oh, Khalid,
They say he was a real nigga.
he was.
They say he was a real nigga.
Khalid Muhammad was a real nigga. But guess what? He was in the Nation of Islam, and he went rogue.
Yeah.
But they say he died from a brain aneurysm. Whether they killed him or not, I don't know. But that's what they say he died. Khalid Muhammad. He died from a brain aneurysm. But you got to remember, this nigga was on Donahue, which was a major show at that time. You know what I'm saying? You have an audience of people. I'm telling you, man, you got to know Farrakhan control. This nigga's still alive. They don't let real threats stand. That's why I was telling you, nigga, if a nigga think Dr. Sebi is a threat, I got some beachfront property to sell you in the desert.
I got a question about Farrakhan. They said this is a theory I heard, conspiracy. They said they killed Farrakhan. They know it's gonna be an uproar and
Who would believe that? But okay, you say
because it was like
who? Where?
like the Muslims.
Ain't nobody finna do nothing.
That's what it was.
Nigga, real Muslims don't even mess with the Nation of Islam. They don't consider it to be real Islam. And ain't nan nigga finna riot about Farrakhan nowhere in the history of civilization. If a nigga didn't riot about Malcolm X, you know they ain't rioting about Farrakhan. They don't let real threats live that long. You know what I'm saying? Nigga talking about they killed Nipsey because of Dr. Sebi, but this nigga lived 30 years after the fact. Ain't no threat. No threat. You don't let you walk around being a threat for 3 decades. You serious? You know what I'm talking about? Niggas say like, oh, Pac was a threat. But when you really analyze what Pac was saying and doing, what was the nigga really doing? What was he really saying? Absolutely nothing. Oh no, it wasn't no nigga stuff. That was a. I don't believe that nigga dead personally. It's too many niggas around that situation who clown about this nigga being alive when people stepped to them about this nigga being dead. Like I just tell this nigga, Too Short was getting interviewed by Vlad. Vlad said, "Son," he said, "Yeah, like Tupac's really dead. Like you believe that? So you just believe everything they tell you?"
What did you want to get out?
No.
I don't get the point of fake dying.
The point of fake, because they had made him be a Messiah archetype. So we done put you to this.
They sacrifice each other for the people.
For the people. But see, the man himself is not dead. The character is dead. And then you go. That was never him anyway. I mean, because they built him for that purpose, for that character. Like that was a script written. You know what I'm saying? And this is how now it's no different than any movie. But we be watching real life movies play out. It's reality TV. If you know reality TV is scripted, then you know they'll script this stuff over here.
You think a lot of celebrities know this?
It's on a need to know basis. But I think a lot of them know more of it than you think. They're not gonna talk.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. That was
Like they all know these niggas getting drilled in the booty hole and they don't talk. Yeah, because he don't want to get beat up.
No, you said your man said he seen 2 doors. He like,
Oh yeah, that was my nigga Noriega. But guess what? Noriega don't walk through that door because that Drink Champs podcast getting real, real big. You know about Drink Champs? You know about Drink Champs? That junk went from something they were doing to something that's on Revolt. Like that junk real, real big now.
But Jay-Z got Revolt. Right?
That's Puffy on Revolt.
I mean, yeah, so you don't think he probably get rid of the platform?
Yeah.
But nigga, they control them niggas. But now it's not just a regular podcast anymore. Like he has large financial backing. No, I'm talking about a large corporation is promoting you. Once large corporations get involved, you dealing with them crackers. If you're dealing with corporations, you're dealing with them white folks. And ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. No, he said, now this was an interview years ago. He said, he was like, I don't know if it's some homo stuff or some devil worshiping stuff. And they said it was 2 doors and I went straight. He said, I ain't went platinum since. Hey, but you know, Noriega was a real, I just seen your man, what in the daylight? That nigga fool. That nigga just was on live like, nigga, I went to school with this nigga. And everybody in Watts was like, where did this nigga come from? Nobody knows where this nigga come from. And he wasn't trying to be, because you know that nigga be clowning. That nigga was not being funny. That nigga was like, man, we don't know where he came from. Where did this nigga come from? He was talking about Nipsey. I didn't even know that nigga was from California, so I don't know much about him other than he a fool. But let's hit this next thing, man. We'll slide on out of here, man. Now let's look at verse 5 in Luke, right? He said the devil took him up to a high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and told him he would give him if he would worship him. So what emotion is he playing to right here? Power or lust or greed. That's what he playing to. Look at the next thing he said. Then he said, he brought him up to a pinnacle of the temple and told him, if you be the son of Alahym, cast yourself down, because it's written that Malachim will keep charge over you. What emotion was he tempting him with on that one? What emotion you think he was tempting him with there? Pride. I'm a son of God. They'll save me. That's what it say. You have to look at this here. Everything he does is to react to get your emotions moved. And you have to understand that and realize that. When you find yourself in a large emotional state, you have to take a step back. Especially if you're dealing with others. Let's put it this way. When Yahusha was standing there with Peter and he told them what was going to happen to him, how did Peter react? Emotional. Emotional. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said, get behind me, Satan, because he said, you savor the things that be of man and not the things that are of Alahym, because emotions are of man. Absolutely. They definitely did. Definitely did. You know what I'm saying? So let's look at something in Galatians 5, man. And we'll conclude. We still got waste. It's so many different things that we can go off on. But all this is here showing that if you know your, like what we were focusing on here is the opposite of what happens when you don't know him. Like I said, right? And I was telling this the other day, like when Pac died, I didn't feel nothing. I had no emotional reaction whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Feel when Big died, when Michael Jackson died, or nothing. Now we were talking about this here, like sometimes because it's a strong point why people feel grief for people they never met. You know what I'm saying? And it may not be necessarily that you have an emotional investment or connection with that person. Could be something else. You were sad? Why you were sad when Bernie Mac died? Huh? No, I'm being serious though. Like, why were you sad? Why were you sad when Bernie Mac died? No, I'm just being. Because I'm being serious. I ain't being funny. Because I can't say. Was there anyone famous or someone that you didn't know died that you grieve for them? What about you, Stanley? No, we talking about real grief. You ain't got to shed tears to grieve.
George Bush.
You grieve for George Bush Sr. when he died? Why did you grieve? George Bush daddy. George Bush daddy. Why did you die? Why did you shed a tear for George Herbert Walker Bush? That nigga trying to be funny. Callie, you ever grieve for somebody you didn't know?
My mama cried for Angela.
Grieve. What about you, Kalisha? Any of y'all ever grieve for somebody you didn't know? Did you ever grieve for somebody you didn't know? Some people believe that Prince is not dead. Some people believe he actually showed up at his funeral as his sister. Like, no, I'm dead serious. Nigga was like, yeah, because the nigga was like, look at this narcissist. This narcissist is at his own funeral. Like, if he, I won't know. I don't know the nigga. Hey, shoot, I can't call it. Because unfortunately, for most celebrities, a lot of them probably are narcissists. You have people tell you how great you are your whole life, and everybody's catering to you. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have some narcissistic characteristics. What about you, Darius? You ever mourn for somebody you ain't know? I know Lee ain't. You ain't never grieved for nobody you ain't know didn't live. Nigga, that was what? That was 2009. Just hang me from the tree right now. What about you, Monte? Nisha, you ever mourn for somebody like that? What about you, Lil Muffin? Why? You mourn for somebody you know?
I ain't gonna lie like that.
That nigga said Mufasa. What about you, D? That nigga said Mufasa. What about you, Will? What about you, Shay? Cause you know when Michael Jackson died, boy, there's a lot of niggas messed up. Messed up. A lot of niggas messed up by Michael Jackson like they knew him their whole life. You remember older people been watching this nigga sing since he was a child. They felt like it. Well, I seen people like they said, but that junk was so crazy. Like when Big and Pac were beefing, or so-called beefing, there used to be niggas ready to fight. I seen niggas get beat up for wearing Biggie t-shirts. That drink champ's real big right now, man. That nigga Nori a fool though. That nigga a real fool. What I was going on, man? Galatians 5. Nori a real fool. We'll continue on with this, y'all willing, next week. But that Galatians 5, by verse 16, it tell you this: I say then, walk in the Ruach, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. He say, for the flesh lust against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh, and these are contrary one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. So he say, if you walk in the Ruach, if you live in the Ruach, let us walk in the Ruach. And the point of the study we were looking at is you see how one is contrary to the other. When you're dealing with emotions, that's going to stop you from walking in the Ruach. When you walk in the Ruach, you're not under the law, meaning you're not under the law of death. So when you can crucify your emotions, then things that happen couldn't move you to do things contrary to the word. Because all we're trying to do is get you to prepare for what's going to happen at the end. Because at the end, it's going to be things happening to try to move your emotions to follow this man. He's going to be speaking in peace. He's going to be doing miracles. He's going to be breaking down word. You're going to be seeing people he helping. And you're going to see all this stuff. Oh, that's godly. That's godly. And then you're going to fall for it.
So, and Daniel 11 said they can get the kingdom. You think he's going to be in Congress or in some type of political field?
And I can't say that because it don't say. I can't say that. It just say he gonna rise up to power, and when he get all the way to power, all the kings of the earth gonna give their kingdoms over to him. That's why I say the issue is not a new world order. The issue is Baal worship, like during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. New world order is not the issue. A new world order is a red herring. Y'all know what red herrings are, right? Keep your eye off of what's really happening. That's what a red herring is, misdirection. So while you worrying about a new world order, I'm setting you up to be deceived that this man is really God. Because that's not attached to the new world order. They say Luciferian, satanic worship, but how they going to bring about it is not what the text says, how the same construct is going to be brought about. It's not about no new world order. Them crackers don't care about new. But that's what George Bush said. That's who cares what George Bush said. Who cares what David Rockefeller said? What did Yah say? And Yah telling you that a man is going to resurrect from the dead and have a prophet who's going to bear witness of him, which is why we read the stuff like with Saul, having men whose hearts he done changed and all this other stuff so that you could believe on him. That's why we focused in on that point that David sent men out to speak in his name. The beast sending the false prophet out to speak in his name, to bring honor back to who? Satan. And this is the mystery of lawlessness. While you have the mystery of God on that side, I sent apostles out to bear witness of the Son so that honor could come to the Father's name. You got to remember, all he's doing is copying the mystery of Alahym. The only difference between the two is one is lawless and one is not. One is of faith and the other is of fear. And that's it. Because what is Satan motivating factor? Because remember, if it's fear involved, then what's not present? Not just that, but love. Because perfect love does what? It casts out fear, because fear has torment. That's what I meant, and I meant to ask y'all this here while we was on here, but it's gonna run a little late, about talking about how y'all feel. Do y'all have a fear of failure? And fear and failure ain't just got to be business-wise, career-wise, just period. Because that fear paralyzes people, and it paralyzes you to do things that you're actually capable of doing. See, if you have a fear of failing Yahuwah, then you'll always focus on your emotions and your flesh, and this is how this man gonna be able to get you. If you know that Yahusha already came sin and death in heaven before you ever were born, then you would have that perfect love, and there wouldn't be any fear because it would be cast out. See, those people don't have perfect love. That's why he can use the fear of death to torment them. Like we read in Hebrews 2, he said that he could destroy him who had power over death, that is the devil, to free them who all their lifetime was under bondage unto death. You don't never see Yahuwah coming through or Yahusha coming through trying to get people to be fearful of him because he gonna kill them. When he told you he was gonna kill you, it's because I'm fed up and you out of here. You know what I'm saying? He came with love in the form of repent, and I will turn back to you. So he wasn't appealing to emotion, he was appealing to the ruach. But Satan come with fear. You know what I'm saying? And if we in Alahym, you can't have fear of anything. Period. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a man. I don't care if it's failure. I don't care if whatever it is. It doesn't matter, because his perfect love will remove that. You know what I'm saying? His perfect love will remove that, and fear can't exist. Fear and love cannot exist in the same place. Just like faith and unbelief cannot exist in the same place. How is that possible? How can they coexist? That's why he said, what agreement have Belial? What concord have Belial with Mashiach? How can something that is valuable have agreement with something that is worthless? Because if they are son of Belial, that means they're worthless. So if you say you are daughter, son of Mashiach, how, if you are worthy, how are you in agreement with something that's worthless? And you see that all the time with people who people choose to marry. The woman may be worthy, the man may be worthy, and their counterpart is worthless. And you looking at them like, why you fool with them? And you wonder why there's not an agreement. What agreement does light have with darkness? Y'all seen what happened when Isaiah hit that light switch? Light and darkness can't stay in the same place. Something gonna flee. You cut a light on, darkness flees. You cut the light off, light flees, and the darkness envelops the room. They can't exist in the same place. And this will go back to what you mentioned and what the dudes say they doing by trying to have you delusional and try to make you believe that you're not seeing what your eyes are really beholding. You know what I'm saying? So you have to know that and understand that, and that's what wisdom is. You see it, you know how to move and navigate around it because you have the understanding, which is the insight of the person you serve, which means you can never be deceived, ever. If you in Alahym, you cannot be deceived. Ain't that what he told us? He said if it was possible, the very elect to be deceived, how can you be chosen and be deceived? That don't even make no sense. That don't even make no sense. But we got more. Why you? Because the people ain't had no sense. But she ain't had it. You know what I'm saying? Because if she was basically a child, she was a baby. These kids don't have no sense of nobody emotionally manipulating them. How many of y'all in here you can identify that someone that had emotionally manipulated you? Ain't none of y'all ever been emotionally manipulated? Well, that's a good thing if that ain't never happened. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what people do. I know I will say one thing. Most of the time, usually your parents be the first person to try to emotionally manipulate you. Look how you laughing. You done did Hezekiah like that, ain't it? Son, I give you a cookie, you stop doing this here. That's emotional manipulation. Because you try to use his desire for sweets to get him to do what you wanted him to do. It's not good behavior. No, good behavior is, that's not the situation I use. I said, he over here doing this here. I give you this if you stop. You didn't reward good behavior. You manipulated him to do something you didn't want him to do, and you gave him something for it. But if you doing something that's not good behavior, I didn't reward you with good behavior. You can't reward negative behavior. That's and actually, if I have to tell you to stop doing something and I give you something for stopping, I have rewarded negative behavior. I have rewarded negative behavior that reinforces to me that I can act negatively and still be rewarded. You know what I'm saying? But if you were behaving all the time, or I said, if you conduct yourself like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you do that over a period of time, then I have rewarded proper behavior. But yeah, you know, most all parents done did that. I'm tired of this nigga here. He running around the house. You tell him, come on, sit down and watch this movie and get this snack. That's emotionally manipulating him to get to sit down. Because all he know is movie, snack. Yeah, that's emotional manipulation. You know, you're the first one to do it. Tempting that boy with pizza, hanging it in his face. Come get these goldfish, son. But let's slide on up out of here, man. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all. Bless y'all at the house of y'all. Name of Yahushua. We'll keep going on this particular topic. We ain't done yet. We got so much more to do. You who are willing, we'll pick it up on Wednesday, man. I appreciate everybody. I just want y'all to know that and understand that, and know that the adversary is going to be using emotion and fear to try to dictate your responses. We have to make sure that we move off the love and the ruach and stand firm in the word, so we're not deceived in that aspect, so that we can do the work of Alahym and be strong and know our Alahym. So y'all willing to the next time, we'll pick it up. I'm gonna tell you that everybody